not in the race.
Originally, they had intended perhaps that Adrian Fernandez would drive the car, but he got in trouble once during practice against the wall, and I think wisely decided to just hold that car out for another opportunity in the future. Roberto Carrero makes his stop.
One of the things that's happened to the Lola cars, Paul, is the bell housings. The housing between the engine and the transmission was breaking on the Lolas. About 2 weeks ago, it's been rumored that the factory knew that they were having bell housing problems, but they failed to tell all the mechanics. There's Tracy coming in for a pit stop.
Let's go to Jackaroo.
And Paul, they make a major adjustment on the front wing, as they also will change all 4 tires. They took it looked to be about a turn up on both the right and the left side of the front wing. Chasing the racetrack all day. Let's check in with Gary Gerould.
Mario Andretti, the first of the Newman Haas drivers to come in, the man who set the record from the pole, not expecting any changes. Routine stop with fresh rubber and fuel. He's rolling in just under 14 seconds. Now we wait for Mansell.
And Mansell is on the pit road. He turned the last lap before this one at 225 miles an hour. And he turns in toward Gary.
And Paul, he comes in very slowly, being very cautious. Remember, this whole business of many pit stops in a race still somewhat new to Mansell. A very conservative approach. The team going through their usual chores. Again, there'll be no changes here. They talked about a wing change.
Mansell catches a break, Gary. Mansell catches a break. The yellow is out. Stefan Johansson spun it in the 4th turn, got it up against the wall. Safety crews are already there, but Mansell was in the pits as the yellow came out.
Well, this is the thing that's really going to change things. When you have a yellow coming out on a 2-mile track like this, under the green flag when everybody's in the pits, boy, I'll tell you what's going to cause a lot of rethinking on the pit stops.
Pit speed limit today, 110 miles an hour. They'll give you 5. If you get to 115, they're going to stop and go you for a penalty. Let's go to Jackaroo.
Well, Paul, that may be a break for Emerson Fittipaldi. He was scheduled to come onto pit road at that very lap. Saw the spin by Lynn St. James. Chuck Sprague and the crew radioed for him to stay out. Now they will be able to make their pit stop under the luxury of the yellow.
And Fittipaldi was very close to going a lap down. You saw Stefan Johansson is out of the car, obviously uninjured. They work on that car now. We have the first yellow flag at Michigan International. 38 laps are in the record book, and to this point, they've averaged 216 miles an hour. We'll be right back. Tonight, Billy Ray Cyrus brings his achy breaky heart to America's Funniest Home Videos, followed by America's Funniest People. And then Clint Eastwood is back in the line of fire as Dirty Harry in the Deadpool, the Sunday night movie tonight on ABC. Well, we're still under yellow at Michigan International Speedway as a result of an accident involving Stefan Johansson. He is out of the car, reported uninjured. They're still trying to get the car off of the race course. On the super speedways, IndyCar teams must reconfigure not only the setup of the race car itself, but some also change the equipment worn by the driver. Gary Gerould has a full explanation.
At speeds of well over 200 miles per hour, the air that comes streaming up over the front cowling and over the windscreen into the cockpit creates a tremendous amount of buffeting around the driver's head. There's a new helmet design that's found favor among many of the drivers who are competing here in Michigan today. Here's an example of the helmet, this one worn by Bobby Rahal. They've addressed the buffeting problem in 3 critical areas. The first is this lip that protrudes down here in front. It creates downforce, much like a front wing, pushes the helmet down, keeps the air from getting underneath and wanting to lift on the driver's head. Second area, a subtle change, a patented design contour up here on top that aerodynamically also combats that lift factor. And the third area has to do with this wicker bill, much like you find on the rear wing of the race car. This helps create downforce, but perhaps more significantly, back in this position, it keeps a buildup of air from building here behind the driver's head and instead attaches the stream of air to the side of the car and it trails right on back. Now, what does that all do at these high speeds? Well, with that buffeting, the driver's head is bouncing just like this. Now, because of these factors, it's a very stable ride here with his head. That means he can see much better, and it also means that that lift factor greatly reduces the amount of fatigue and stress that's placed on his neck.
I'll tell you, at this place, fatigue and stress are critical. So now Nigel Mansell under the yellow has the lead of the race. Emerson Fittipaldi picked up a great advantage on that stop. He was almost going to go a lap down. We'll be right back with more from the Michigan 500. Back at Michigan International, they're doing extensive work under the yellow on Lynn St. James' car, but she remains with that machine. 9 cars on the leader lap. Some people picked up an advantage with that yellow, Bobby.
Well, it takes a lap if you pit under the green, no matter how fast your pit stops are. And a lot of the guys pit a little bit early, or the yellow came out right during when everybody's going to start coming in. So, for example, Fittipaldi and Boiselle gained a tremendous advantage. They're way up, and whereas Tracy, even though he's in the serial, looks in to be number 1 right now, he's almost a lap down. So he lost on the shuffle because he came in a little bit too early.
Situations developing during the pit stops, and an update from Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, a very lucky break for Emerson Fittipaldi, because that caution came out. He had taken some debris and a puncture right through the tire. Look what happens when you get a tire going down at 230 miles an hour. Just ripped it to shreds. With small debris going that fast, you can make a hole that big in one of these tires. Let's go back up to you.
Well, boy, Paul, he picked up almost a lap from LeLuc, and look at that width at the tire that was absolutely torn apart. That could have saved Emil's day for him. This man right here, Paul Tracy, though, he suffered from it. He's in a bad position right now. He's going to have a lot of distance to make up. But remember, this is not the team's fault. Nobody knows the yellow's going to come out when it comes out.
You don't think luck plays a role in automobile racing? Also, there's a very long way to go, remember. A 500-mile race offers many opportunities to sort out the things we've just had happen.
250 laps here. You see we're at the 43rd lap, the first yellow of the day, caused when Raul Boiselle got into the wall, apparently alone in turn 4. Nigel Mansell, very light load of fuel, cut a lap at 225 miles an hour just before the pit stop. IndyCar has just announced their new schedule, and here it is for next year, so you can begin booking hotels, getting your tickets, and making arrangements for the 1994 schedule. Season, of course, ends October 2nd next year at Laguna Seca, California. Did I say, I said Boiselle involved in the accident, Bobby?
Yes, Paul, it was actually Johansson. I think you just accidentally called it Boiselle. But
Boiselle is running 3rd. Here's Buddy Lazier, who had an exceptionally fine qualifying, right up there with people that you would not expect him to have qualified alongside. He was in the same row as Al Unser Jr., who's won this race and is a former champion.
You can look at the water coming out. Could be fuel, but I hope it's water out of the left lower of Boiselle. I hate to interrupt you there, Sam, but on Lazier's car, he's got something coming out of the back end of the car really bad.
Later today here on ABC Sports, more auto racing as we look at the back of Lazier's car, whatever it was. It looks like it has cleared up. The racing action will continue. It is the final round of the International Race of Champions. The champion will be determined in this 4th and final round, where the mechanical advantage is taken away and the drivers are what matters. Good race, too. I might tell you, run here yesterday at Michigan International. You ride with Nigel Mansell, the leader of the race. You can see there are other cars lined up in front of him. You look back from Al Unser Jr. now, and we'll take a look at Scott Goodyear's car as well, where they've done that repair that was suggested that they needed on that car. Let's go to Gary.
Stefan Johansson has just been examined by the doctors. You appear to be fine. Can you tell us what happened in that incident?
Well, I don't really know. The car was pushing really pretty good all the time, and all of a sudden, you know, I came into 3 and it just swapped ends on me.
When it happens at this racetrack at these speeds, it's usually very, very big, and I would imagine you got to feel fortunate that you can walk away from this incident.
Yeah, I think so.
God, you're all right, Stefan. Thank you.
Yeah.
We get ready to go racing once again. We'll go back up to Paul.
So Stefan Johansson crashed on the pace lap at Long Beach, crashed again at Milwaukee and Detroit, and here today. So he's had plenty of wall time, fortunately no sheet time.
The most likely culprit for his accident, Paul, ironically, is probably a tire puncture. But when they puncture going fast here, the car swap ends up fast, you can't believe it.
Update on Fittipaldi, Jack Arute.
Paul, you don't think Emerson Fittipaldi's concerned about the championship? He wasn't worried about the tire. He radioed into his crew, "Where is Mansell?" That's all he was concerned about. He's very talkative today on the radio.
Now the answer, of course, there's his crew chief, Rick Reineman. The answer, of course, is that Mansell is at the front of the field. The yellow came out while Mansell was making his stop. The order as they come back to green for the race itself will be Mansell, Andretti, Boiselle, Fittipaldi, Luyendyk, Fabi, Gordon, Tracy, and Goodyear.
Emerson is looking to protect a scant 3-point lead. Not much to work with.
So now they come back to speed. The green flag comes out, and we're racing once again on the 45th lap at the Michigan 500. And they spread out as the slower cars sitting just ahead of the race leader move over, and Mansell carves his way on through.
Mansell wants to put as much distance as he can to anybody. Remember, this track is kind of hard on traffic. The wind buffeting bothers everybody, the turbulence, so he wants to get out in clean air as soon as possible.
Brayton and Goodyear battle. They are a lap down to the leader, running in 9th place as Goodyear moves into 9th. And then Brayton takes it away from him.
On board with Scott Goodyear. That tape you see flapping, it's not going to stay on there, Paul. It's going to just slowly work its way off. But he has to have that little brace to the right side of his helmet, because that's what keeps up that 5 Gs in the corners, keeps his head up.
Looks like it's well taped on in other areas there, so let's hope that it does stay on. It was a quick repair. Well, what about a 240-mile-an-hour wind on the straightaway going over there?
Well, that's for sure. It'll have Velcro behind it helping it also.
Fittipaldi continues his moves up through the field as he just cruises past Allen Jr., who continues to struggle this weekend. Mansell's put 2 seconds on the remainder of the field. Second place is still Mario.
Mansell and Fittipaldi were joking with each other last night in the garages. Very relaxed. Of course, 2 former Formula One champions. Mansell is the defending Formula One champion now, battling it out now for the IndyCar championship.
Battle for 6th place. Robbie Gordon, the black car, the center of your screen, and here comes Teo Fabi, who comes to the inside. Again, they use Hiro Matsushita to try to get past him. They split him on the backstretch, and it looks like Teo's going to get into the corner ahead of Gordon.
Fabi has never won this race, but he was second back here in 1989, so he knows what he's doing out here.
Gordon got pushed clear up into the gray right there. That's an accident. Looking for a plate to happen when you get that high, but he did a really good job because Matsushita didn't see that he was there, and he moved him right out into the gray.
And look at him come right back on Teo Fabi as Fabi almost slows down going into the first corner. So it seems that Teo's a little faster up in the north end, and Robbie Gordon seems to be faster down here in the south.
Well, you know, the track is never the same on both sides. We see that at all the racetrack, and it's certainly showing up here that way with a lot of the guys today, Paul.
The talk is all that Robbie Gordon might be leaving A.J. Foyt at the end of this year to go with a newly formed team headed up by Michael Kranafus of Ford. Kranafus announced his resignation from Ford at the end of this year, effective at the end of this year, and the talk is he may hire Gordon for his new team.
Got a burst of spark there at the back of the car. There's a bump down there in that corner, and when these cars are on full tanks, they can set down right on the ground, and it will tend to throw sparks out back from the undercarriage. Might be good in some racing. In this racing, that's wearing away pretty quick.
Well, it does wear away a little bit, but ironically, in order for these cars to handle good, they have to get them as low as they can possibly get them to the ground. A lot lower than people would ever imagine. The driver, for example, is riding off the ground no more than an inch to an inch and a quarter.
Carl Haas, the owner of Nigel Mansell's and Mario Andretti's cars. They run first and second right now, and you are on board with the race leader, Nigel Mansell. Tracy, they're all trying to stay on the lead lap. We'll just listen to the throttle response here.
Boy, good luck keeping up with this guy. Look at Mansell come, modulating the throttle a little bit, but lining up his prey and just sweeping by on the low side. No problem.
Fast Tracy.
He's not modulating that throttle. He's holding that thing pretty near to the floorboard all the way around, guys. He is really hooked up 221 miles an hour.
Boy, you're right, Bobby. It's what I would have done, which was modulate the throttle. That's why I mentioned it. Of course, a racing driver in this situation, even when you're Nigel Mansell, defending champion, you still feel an exhilaration when you know you've got the car of the day. Remember, just 2 weeks ago, back in Toronto, Mansell's car was terrible for him. He crashed out of the race midway through. Now he, of course,